Dolores Lebron. The True Story of Lolita. Based on true events by Edwin Lugo Walker. INT. Night. A crowded and active school auditorium in Larry's Puerto Rican, in late 1930s early evening. From the back of the auditorium panned to stage. Como fue, Benny Moore. Song ends. A beauty contest is in full swing. 5 young contestants stand on stage. 2 are motioned to step forward. The crowd is local and noisy. The announcer finally calls. Announcer, your new winner and queen of the Flowers of May beauty pageant, Dolores Lebron. He sings Cielito Lindo with a cuatro player accompaniment as she steps forward. The audience bursts in applause. Effortlessly she has won first place. Her father Gonzalo, a coffee plantation foreman and proud father of 5, all are sitting in the third row with his wife, who is especially proud of Lolita on this night. As he applauds, we pan into the all-smiling, all Barbie doll waving 16-year-old Lolita, dissolve into a flashback on her adult face. Camera pulls out. Extension Mountainside Home. Day, a flashback, lightning, thunder and wind but no rain. As a hurricane descends on the island, young Lolita is playing outside. She is interrupted by a dark ominous sky and violent winds. A crack of thunderous lightning sends her running home. She runs into the house. 2. Int. Mountainside Home. Day 3. From the kitchen out back, Lolita's mother cries out to her. 2. Mother. Nana. Young Lolita appears in the front doorway, instantly running into her mother's arms. Fear and panic abound. Lolita. Vamonos ya. Mommy, ya. Mother and father were determined to ride out the storm but were soon convinced by Lolita's almost feral-like perceptions to flee. They hurriedly initiate Plan B, to move to a more secure location near the city center. The family exits with their clothes on their backs. They enter the car. Mother runs back and snatches a rosary hanging from the doorknob. Blackout. Ext. Mountainside Home. Next day 4. The doorknob is now on the floor. The family returns to total devastation. Their home is leveled by the storm. They stand in the middle of the devastation. Lolita finds her metal toy top and holds it up victorious and smiles at her mother. Her mother tries to return the smile. We zoom in on Lolita's bright beautiful smile, then dissolve back into the same winning beauty contestant smile on stage. Dissolve back to adult Lolita. End of flashback. Extension, Country Road. Night 5. A calm Caribbean night as the Lebrón family arrives home after the beauty contest. They could not be more joyous and proud. The sound of the coqui is 3. Heard. They each file into the small house except for Lolita, who remains on the porch eagerly awaiting her boyfriend. Mother turns around to inspect. Mother. Don't wait too long, Lolita, you know how these boys are. Mother and daughter exchange a smile. Mother disappears into the house. Paco Mendez, a factory engineer, drives up in his shiny new car. He exits the car leaving the lights on. He runs up on her and lunges into her as she sits on the stoop, and they kiss a la blades of grass. Lolita. Gane, look, I won. She picks up the crown and shows him. Lolita. Again. Paco. You're my princess. Of course. How great. He puts the crown on his head. They laugh. Paco, why don't you come with me? I'm leaving for Santurce mañana. I want you to come with me, tonight. They hug excitedly and kiss. She is over the moon. Lolita nods yes, leaves her crown on the stoop, and 4 jumps into his car. Mother pulls the curtain back, watches in disapproval. INT. Apt. Santurce. Day. Montage to Benny Moore. Y2 Como Estes. 6. A picture of domestic life in Santurce. Lolita and Don Paco enter the condo apt. Together bridal style. He spins her around and they kiss. INT. Hospital. Santurce. Day. Montage. Lolita is handed her first baby Gladys by the nurse. 7. INT. Apt. Santurce. Night. Montage. Don. Paco walks in drunk. INT. Apt. Santurce. Night. Montage. 9. Don Paco stumbles in drunk and falls into bed. Lolita, also in bed, jumps out and goes to look out the window and sees a woman running away in high heels and into a convertible. Lolita undresses him annoyed. Lolita stares at him sleeping and holds the baby annoyed. INT. Apt. Santurce. Next day condo montage. 10. Luis, a 5-foot Hebrew, country boy, messenger, stands in front of Lolita's door. She hands him a letter to deliver to Paco. She swats him away. He exits. INT. Don Paco's office. Santurce. Day. Montage end. 11. Don Paco reads the letter, then automatically hands over $200 to Luis for Lolita in the same envelope and asks Louis. 5. 8. Don Paco. Luis, what's wrong with her? I don't know what she wants. A wedding would be a start. Luis exits. Paco broods. Int. Apt. Sanchers. Date 12. Lolita, fully dressed with suitcases all around, is ready to go. She counts the money from Paco and explodes at Louis. Lolita. Only $200? What's wrong with him? How does he think I can raise a child with this? Ext. Larry's, Lolita's parents' home. Day 13. Lolita returns home to Larry's with her baby Gladys, a beautiful baby girl. The reunion is fast but warm. Hurriedly they enter. Mother looks around to make sure no one is watching. Dissolve. After a while they settle in the kitchen. Coffee is poured. Grandmother holds the child. Mother. Lolita, what will you do me, hija? I will go to America, Mommy, New York. I will work and send you money every week so you can take care of Gladys for me. 6. Mother looks up at Lolita and knows there is no compromise with her. Lolita's father comes home for lunch from the plant and finds his wife, daughter and grandchild in the kitchen. Cut to the baby. Extension San Juan Shipyard. Day 14. The noisy line of men, women and children stretches along the dock. They hold a flyer that reads, "Come. Work in America, Federal Work Program." Lolita is in queue saying goodbye to her young daughter and family. Lolita. To her mother. Cuidala mucho, mommy. To her daughter. Te quiero mucho, nena. Siempre recuerde que tu mama te quiere mucho. She kisses her baby girl and boards the ship hurriedly. Int. To extension. The ship's cabin and deck. Night. 15. Lolita, preparing to arrive, notices a commotion and buzz outside her cabin. She slowly investigates and follows the crowd up on deck, and there she is, glorious and bright, Green Lady Liberty. A young girl pulls at her mother's skirt. Young girl. Mira, mommy, la estatua de libertad. Lolita smiles down on the young girl. Extension. New York City tenement vestibule. Night. 7. 16. Lolita enters and climbs the stairs of her older brother Gonzalo's apartment. Children are seen stomping, screaming and laughing through the hall. She checks the address on her paper, looks at the door number and finally knocks. Her brother Gonzalo, a military man in his mid-20s, opens the door in wife beater and fatigues. He is so happy to see his younger sister. Gonzalo. Pero mira quien está aquí. I'm so sorry I could not meet you downtown, but I had to work. Come in. Come in. Behind his shoulder as he helps her with the luggage, he yells to his wife. Nena, Lolita is here. They navigate to a small room in their small tenement where padded gray city noise constantly seeps in through the walls from neighbors fighting, having sex or playing loud music. She sits on the edge of the guest bed. Int. Factory. Day 17. The factory is hot, noisy and muggy. A fat Caucasian foreman is shouting obscenities and is pushing and pulling on a thin deliveryman. Lolita squints down the endless rows of sewing machines. A long procession of women sewing and sweating, each fused as if surgically by hands and feet onto their machines. Together they all transform into one great giant beast of burden. The foreman greets and walks her through it all almost in pantomime, shouting over the noise. Foreman 8. We work 10-hour shifts and get 1 half-hour break, no more than that. Lateness will not be tolerated. The bathrooms are to the left. Keep your visits to the toilet to a minimum. You know baño? Poquito. He continues to check off items off his clipboard and hands her a small piece of paper. She sits. Foreman, this is your workstation. Foreman, if you have any questions, ask Julia. He points to a young Mocha Morena girl next to them and walks away. Julia and Lolita exchange weary smiles. Julia. Where are you from? Lolita. Julia. I'm from Larry's. Why too? Yo soy de Carolina. My father's from Rio Piedras and my mom's from Lois Aldea. You just got here, didn't you? Don't worry. I've been here for 2.5 years now and no problems. Int. Factory cafeteria. Day 9. 18. Julia and Lolita sit at lunch. Rosa, a robust, middle-aged woman, approaches them. She is a union representative. Julia introduces her to Lolita. She exits. Julia. Rosa here is our union rep. Rosa or Rosie. Ella es boricua también. Rosa. Pleasure to meet you, Lolita. If you have any problems here, make sure to speak with me first. This is not Puerto Rico. We work together here. I'm sure you'll do fine. You speak some English, right? Good. Listen, If you want to know more about the union, we all get together once a week on Thursdays to talk, listen and learn. Beat. I also belong to the Nationalist Party of Puerto Rico Bronx chapter. Once a month on Fridays we meet. We throw huge dances and fundraisers. Gozemos mucho. You're more than welcome to join us then too if you like. Lolita. Rosa, I'd like that. Good. Next week Friday after the first shift. See you then. 10. Why? Julia. She is a great woman, Rosa, but girl be careful. Lolita. Julia. She's a nationalist, Nacionalista de Puerto Rico, a nationalist radical. They want Puerto Rico to be free from the United States and want nothing to do with America. Why yo no sé si estoy de acuerdo con todo eso, but she's also a wonderful union rep and a hell of a seamstress. She sings, look for the union label? You haven't seen the commercials? She's helped a lot of people. La Gorda Esa. Int. Loud Bronx Dance Hall. Friday night Cuba Libre Guaracha Xavier Cugat. 19 Anderson Perez is a handsome sailor dressed in a white crisp uniform enters the hall. At the bar, Lolita's eyes meet his in a sweet silence. He approaches her, extends his gloved hand, she takes it and they dance. Anderson. Lolita. Como te llamas? Yo soy Dolores. Anderson. Lolita. Que nombre más lindo. Anderson. Gracias marinero. Anderson. Song ends, can I buy you a drink? Lolita. You can buy me 3 or 4. The dance ends. Montage. Perfida los ponchos. They acquaint themselves at a table. Dissolve to them dancing again and he buys her a single rose from an old woman. Lolita smiles and is completely sold. Extension Bronx Dance Hall. Night. Montage. Me importas tu y gourmet and los trios ponchos. 20 Lolita and Anderson exit the dance hall arm in arm. Extension Bronx Botanical Garden. A lover's picnic. Day. Montage continues. 21. Extension Bronx Church. Day. Montage continues. 22 Newlyweds Lolita and Anderson are pelted with rice by loved ones. They bob and weave into their car. They kiss. The crowd cheers as they zoom away. Int. Newlywed car. Day. And montage. She nods. Anderson. Ready? 12. 23. Anderson. You look so beautiful up there today. I am so crazy about you. Sometimes I don't know if you really know that. Lolita. I'm a woman of very few words, Andy. No te preocupes. I know. They kiss and laugh. Int. Bronx apt. Semicolon day nightmare. Pregnant Lolita sits to Anderson to come. Runs in a panic from laughs. The nurse hands Lolita her baby boy. Anderson and Lolita both smile. Lolita sewing in the factory 25b ent. Bronx apt. Semicolon night. And montage. 26 Lolita is preparing to leave for a nationalist meeting. She is zipping back and forth on the carpet while putting the finishing touches on her outfit. Lolita. The meeting may go over, I'll be home late. The baby's milk is in the nevera. Montage Tito Puente Cuban in the living room and waves, she is in labor. Anderson 24. 25. Left to right and Lolita ent. Bronx Hospital. Day. Montage. 13. She kisses the baby in the playpen. Anderson. Why must you go to every meeting? If the party decided to baptize a cat you'd be right there. It's not fair. Felix and I need you too. Here with us. You know? Anderson himself around her from behind. She wiggles away. Gets up from the lazy boy and raps. Lolita. I have to go. Int. A nationalist fundraiser in the Bronx. Semicolon night 27. Griselio Torresela is a dangerous gun specialist and fervent nationalist, but tonight he is a bartender. Lolita is taking tickets and hosting the night's festivities. From behind the bar Griselio leers at her. Griselio. The tickets are already in the register. Lolita, you look great. You should sell a lot of tickets. He touches her arm. Lolita. She wiggles away from him. Montage. Song Todo es Mentira by Grupo Antiano plays as the evening progresses. Que viva Puerto Rico Libre. We see the lifespan of the party play out at high speed. Hearty speeches, announcements and a lively dance. At the end of the night the room is empty. Lolita finishes counting the recips. Griselio swoops down on Lolita. End montage. 14. Griselio. Lolita. Lolita counting money. Oi, leave that. Ven conmigo. I have something for you. Lolita. For me? Suspicious. Okay, where? Griselio. Come with me. Int. A nationalist fundraiser in the Bronx. Semicolon night 27. The back room is dark but for one light shining down on a cache of weapons. German Lugers, machine guns and ammo. A few members are seen cleaning and taking inventory. He picks up a gun and hands it to her. She hesitates. Griselio. This one is yours. Go on. Take it. Don't worry. I'll teach you how to use it. Grisello behind her with a lustful intention to posses her wraps himself behind her. Both their hands on the gun aiming. Griselio. Patria o muerte. Int. Bronx apt. Night 15. 28. A knock on the door. Anderson opens the door and in walks in a young girl babysitter. Anderson. Sorry about the short notice. He grabs his coat and hat, slips her some cash and zooms out the door. Int. A Nationalist fundraiser in the Bronx. Night 29. Lolita and Griselio are seen exiting the back room by Anderson, who arrives at the empty dance hall exacerbated. He confronts them. Anderson. Get your things, we're leaving right now. He grabs her by the arm. Griselio. Anderson. Now wait a minute. No. Now you wait a minute. This is my wife. Anderson is seen flying out the club. Griselio Torresella, a tall burly man, pushes Anderson to the ground. Standing right behind him hovers over him, fists balled. Lolita runs to Anderson's side on the ground. Her purse falls to the ground and her new black gun spills out clanking on the concrete. Anderson sees it. She picks it up quickly and stuffs it back in her purse. They both get up and recover together but stand apart. Anderson. 16. I can't do this, Michello. I just can't. Extension San Juan Airport, Puerto Rico. 4 years later. Day 29. Extension Puerto Rico. Airport. Day 30. Lolita arrives with son Felix. Lolita arrives with her 5-year-old son. The wind whips them around. Her father meets her. They get in the car. Extension mother's house. Larry's, Puerto Rico. Day 31. Lolita and son Felix exit the car. 1948. Lolita's mother appears from out of their home in Larry's with Lolita's daughter Gladys, who is now 8 years old, peeping from behind her grandmother's dress. Lolita spots her. Lolita. Come here, little girl. Come meet your little brother. Yo soy tu mama, come here. Vina aquí. Gladys lets out a slow moan that grows into a big cry of child horror and sadness. Lolita. No, no, no. Don't cry, now. Look, Mira. Lolita produces a doll and with open arms and through bittersweet tears, they finally embrace. 17. Mother, to Lolita, she's grown up to be just like you. Ven aquí. Come inside. And who is this? She hugs and kisses Felix. Int. Larry's house kitchen. Day brother and sister get to know one another in the living room, quietly playing on the floor. We see into the kitchen. Lolita. Mommy, I hate to do this to you again, but I honestly have no one else to look after him while I'm at work. Can I just leave him with you for just a short while? I can trust you, and of course I'll send more money. Mother. What will your father say? Beat. Leave him up to me. Don't you worry, Nana. Lolita's father enters with a white shaving towel hanging over his left shoulder, oblivious. A repeat of the first time Lolita left one of her children for America. Int. New York, a noisy factory. Day 18. 32. 33. Lolita is sewing military insignia on armed forces uniforms for government servicemen. She is patching by hand a sergeant's badge. Distracted by a picture of her family on her work table, Lolita pricks her finger on the nettle. She pulls back a cool spurt of blood that catches the light. We zoom in on the sergeant's badge she is sewing, now bloodied, and then out on a similar badge worn by an active duty soldier firing in on Puerto Ricans in the streets of Puerto Rico. Flashback. The Ponce Massacre. Ext. Ponce, Puerto Rico. Day 34. Palm Sunday, March 21, 1937. Ponce, Puerto Rico. A dry, muted, sunny day. Young students and cadets dressed in white marching peacefully, unarmed and lawfully demonstrating the arrest of their National Party leader Dr. Pedro Albizu Campos, arrested in 1935. Carrying flags and banners, defenseless and unarmed young men, fire women and children are summarily machine gunned down by American soldiers and plainclothes paid rouge U.S. mercenaries. A 9-year-old girl in a white dress running into a church is shot in the back. 21 dead and 200 wounded. Flags of an independent Puerto Rico are covered in blood and lie in the streets along with the bodies. Bodies riddled with bullets lay both alone and in heaps as their warm blood traces the cracks on the street. We zoom in on the badge of a solitaire in the aftermath, then dissolving back to the same badge Lolita is sewing in the New York factory. Int. Factory, day 15. 35. 19. Sitting in this factory, Lolita begins to hyperventilate. She drops the uniform. She nurses her finger and bolts towards the bathroom to throw up. Int. Formal Assembly Nationalist meeting Bronx, night. 36. The president of the New York branch of the Nationalist Party, Oscar Collazo, addresses the crowd. Everyone. Oscar Collazo. Patria o muerte. Patria o muerte. Oscar Collazo. We all must do our part to ensure that this act by the United Nations does not go unpunished. We did not choose to freely associate with murderers, and we are most certainly not sharing any commonwealth. Make no mistake, we are an occupied colony in the modern 20th century. The crowd goes wild. Extension Factory Sidewalk, New York, day. On her way to work, Lolita sees a sign that reads "No blacks, no dogs, no Puerto Ricans." She keeps a pace. 37. 38. Int. Apartment night 20. She reads flyers from the edge of her bed from Dr. Campos. His face is prominent. The leader and founder of the nationalist movement. Int. Pan to an illegal Puerto Rican flag on her bed, then back to her as she reads a flyer aloud. Night. 39. Lolita, oppression must end. Our women are being sterilized in our sugar plantation. Workers are being exploited as slaves. U.S. monopolies have taken over our island, our mother country. Harvard University has prepared me well, and they have underestimated us by educating me. I have learned from the beast firsthand. The imperialist Yankee will never overtake us. Extension Puerto Rico Shipyard, day 40. Released from prison, Dr. Campos is well received by family and a crowd of fellow nationalists back to Puerto Rico. Dr. Campos. Patria o muerte. The crowd erupts. Federal agents swim in the crowd. Int. Apt. Semicolon night. Lolita continues. Int. Nationalist 41. To read in amazement and awe. Lolita. Patria o muerte. Meeting Bronx, night 21. 42. Oscar Collazo and Lolita sit in last row of folding chairs in the hall after a group meeting. Members cleaning up. Lolita. I am ready to do whatever it takes. And you? Oscar. We must be patient and wait, Lolita, and when the time comes we will be ready. Lolita. What is it we're supposed to do? I'm tired of just waiting around and watching our county die. I will go first. I will do whatever it takes. Before God, Oscar the First will not sell my country. Yo no me vendo. Oscar, we're going out on a special mission this week. Now I can't tell you where, but we must go out first. If we don't come back, then you will have your moment. I promise you will be notified when. Rafael Cancel. Miranda walks up to them. He is a dark, wiry young man. Oscar. Rafael here will go with you. Rafael half smiles at Lolita. Irving Flores and Rafael Miranda and Andres Cordero hurriedly appear in the hall near the exit with 5 others who begin putting chairs, brooms and mops away. Andres steps up to Oscar. The hall is swept and we're the only ones left. Andres hands Oscar keys. Oscar. If you're going to do anything, Lolita, then, these are your men. All 3 stand at the ready looking at her. Int. Apt. Bedroom night. 43. Lolita sits on the bed of her studio. Apt. Unfurls the illegal Puerto Rican flag and her weapon, a black German Luger. Lolita. Please God watch and keep me from my enemies. Int. United Nations, day, VO montage Kant. 44. A gavel cracks on a wooden platform. A resolution passes. Cut to a Puerto Rican working family breakfast table. Man at table reading a newspaper. Close-up reads UN. Renames PR status. Cut to El Bizu. Campos rally in Puerto Rico. Dr. Campos. We will not allow our colonized status to be made sound sweet by the United Nations. 23. We will share no wealth with murderers, imperialists and genocidal pigs. We will not permit this horror to continue forever. Puerto Rico must be free. Free of Yankee oppressors and of invaders who kill and rape our land. We must be free from torture and cruelty. Free to honor our native land and its people. The crowd explodes with cheers. Int. Apt. Bedroom night. 45. Lolita organizes all of Dr. Campos's flyers, then stores them quietly under her bed in a shiny tin box where she also keeps her black German Luger pistol and her illegal Puerto Rican flag. She lies down and turns off the lights. Ext. Jayuya, Puerto Rico, Governor's Mansion, 1950. Day music cue. 46. From the balcony we see nationalists unsuccessfully charge the governor's mansion. 6 men charge with guns blazing but are all shot down dead. Extension Washington, D.C., Day 47. Puerto Rican nationals Griselio Torresla and Oscar Collazo attempt to assassinate the American President Harry S. Truman. They try to force their way into the front of Blair House residence where they thought he was at but are both gunned down. Torresla is killed and Oscar Collazo is apprehended in a paddy wagon. Int. Puerto Rico home, night 24. 48. Dr. Albizu Campos is arrested for the assassination attempt on Truman and paraded in front of the press. Int. Factory break room, day 49. Lolita reads the newspaper and drops it as she hears a television report seen and heard on TV. The Capitol building is seen in the TV background. Reporter, Vo. Dr. Campos, the leader of the radical fanatic movement, was arrested and in custody and will be transferred to the continent for trial. Int. U.S. prison, day in a lab. Dr. Albizu Campos is tortured with radiation poisoning, thrown in his cell and forced to sleep in a bed whose mattress is rigged to shock him randomly with electricity. Technicians test and rig the bed with metal wrenches while Campos watches. Int. New York apt. Day 50. Dressed to leave, Lolita sits and writes as she builds herself up. Lolita, v.0, before God and the world, my blood cries for the independence of Puerto Rico. I give my life for the freedom of my country. This is a cry for victory in our struggle for our independence. The United States of America is betraying the sacred principles of mankind in their continuous 25. Subjugation of my country. I take responsibility for all. During the VO she folds the note into her purse, checks the safety on the gun, puts that in her purse, checks her makeup and pillbox hat in the mirror, adjusts her suit and skirt one final time, then exits. End of V.0. Int. Train day 51. Establishing shot, train station. Lolita sits on the train. In the window light and shadows dance across her face. She sits alone, then is joined in silence first by Anders Figueroa, then Irving Flores. Their eyes meet and heads bow in acknowledgement. Int. Union Station, Washington. Day 52. Lolita and the 2 men arrive at the Washington Station. I am starved. How about you, guys? Cancel. Miranda was a small thin man full of fire, immediately recognized the 3 getting off the train. He takes them to a cafeteria. They sit in a booth. Miranda. To waitress, coffee for all of us please. He waits for the waitress to leave. The idea is to go in fast and hit them hard. Does anybody have doubts? Now is your chance to back out. Lolita. 26. Lolita. We must clamor for our country in a language they understand. Puerto Rico must be free. We are here, all of us, here for our country, for our families, for Torresla and for all the other Puerto Ricans who fought and died. If we are afraid, turn that fear into a weapon now and we must use it. Ext. Capitol Steps, Day, Music El Tiburon B. Ruben Gonzalez. 53. They arrive on the steps of Congress. Majestically, she climbs the Capitol steps with 3 armed men in tow. Impeccably dressed, she approaches the guard at the door who greets her. She almost flirts. Lolita. Guard. Good afternoon. Do you have a camera, ma'am? He motions to her purse. She looks back at Raphael, then back at the guard. Lolita. Guard. Then go on in, ma'am. Int. Congress, House of Representatives, Day, number 27. 54. As they approach the open gallery above the representatives who are debating immigration, they are ushered to sit. She removes the green kerchief that covers her head, protecting her from the rain and all temperate day. They sit quietly with cold, black, heavy-handed pistols beneath their coats. They exchange glances and breathe collectively. Deliberately they stand. Lolita unfurls a beautiful but illegal Puerto Rican flag. She drapes it around herself, pistol in hand. Lolita. Freedom for Puerto Rico. Que viva Puerto Rico libre, she declares. Instantly the chamber is sprayed with bullets. They each fire, pausing only to reload. The congressmen are violently interrupted. They fly over tables and chairs. 5 congressmen are wounded but none mortally. The podium wood and marble walls are split and are splintered by bullets. Screams are heard. The 4 are finally overrun and apprehended by 4 congressional guards and from the help of a brave overzealous American tourist. A congressional guard rips Lolita's gun and flag from her. 2 gunmen are on the ground while the diminutive Irving Flores manages to escape capture and makes it as far as the Washington bus terminal. Song ends. Guard. Lolita, what the hell is this? It's the flag of my country. Give it to me. Extension White House lawn beautifully green day. 28:55 The press corps is waiting for some scheduled appearance or speech when in bursts a junior reporter. Junior reporter. There's been a shooting in Congress. All the reporters quickly begin to comically shift, mobilizing cameras, microphones and wires to get to the better breaking story. Ex-Congress steps. Day 56 Congress is flooded with ambulances, police wagons, cameras and news reporters. Wounded congressmen are loaded onto ambulances. The three nationalists are loaded onto another wagon. Raphael notices Irving is missing. Raphael, to Lolita in whisper, low. Irving se escapo. Que Dios. Keyed. Int. Precinct holding room. Day. 57. Sergeant, to Captain, we got a positive ID on all four of them. The third suspect made it as far as the terminal. He's on the way here. They're so-called Puerto Rican nationals. Captain, to Lolita, you understand English? Lolita. 29. Captain. I can speak it too. Good. Then we should get along just fine. Now what is a young woman like yourself doing mixed up with a bunch of criminals? Criminals? Lolita. We are here, not as criminals but all of us. Here to die for our country. We want freedom for Puerto Rico. The press secretary bobs his head into the room and alerts the captain. Captain. Press secretary. The boys want a statement. Raphael, Raphael. Give me a minute. 5+ congressmen are in hospital and may die. Aren't sorry? I am not sorry. Not sorry. Captain, to press secretary, they're all yours. Int. Police precinct press conference day reporter 1. Persons in 58. Did you shoot to kill the Congress? 30 Lolita not to kill. Reporter 2 What was the purpose of this shooting? Lolita The purpose of this shooting was the clamor of freedom for my country. Reporter 2 Well miss, can you tell us whose idea this was? Lolita No sir, it was my idea and our idea, the four of us, our idea. Reporter 2, to Raphael, how long were you in planning this sir? Can you tell us? Raphael I don't know. It's not necessary to answer that. I did it for my country. To gain something for my country is why we're here. It's not necessary to answer how long. Lolita adjusts her earring. Reporter 3, are you sorry that you shot? At least 31. 5 congressmen? Raphael. I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm not sorry. Reporter 3, Lolita. How about you Miss Lebrón? I am not sorry. Reporter 2, Lolita. What did you say miss? I'm not sorry. I came to ask freedom for my country in this or any place. I did not come here to kill anyone. I came here to die. The press begins to stir and fight over who asks the next question. Captain. More. Gentlemen, there will be no questions. The captain and 2 officers begin to escort them into the next room, where Irving is sitting quietly. They sit and wait together in silence. Int. July 1st, 1954 Washington Federal District Courtroom Day. 59. On the day of the trial Lolita's own brother Gonzalo, an enlisted man in full uniform testifies against her. 32. Gonzalo, I was involved in the party, sure but never to this extent. Nothing like this. Yes, she was very important in the movement. She was a leader. People looked up to her. I had no idea she was going to do something like this. Mr. Lombard. That will be all. Judge Halshoff. Mr. Lynn, your witness. Lolita's lawyer is Mr. Conrad Lynn, one of the first African-American civil rights lawyers. He stands up. Mr. Lynn. I would call to the stand Ms. Dolores Lebron. Prosecutor, Mr. J. Edward Lombard bolts from his chair. Mr. Lombard. You honor, the people object. Judge Halshoff. Denied, I will allow it. Lolita carries a Bible she has been reading all this time. She is sworn in with her own Bible. Bailiff, please say your name for the record. Lolita 33 Dolores Lebron. Mr. Lynn, and how did this all happen? A young, beautiful smart woman as yourself? How did you become involved? Lolita. I was raised in a beautiful country, my country until the United States came and enslaved us and took our freedom. When my daughter Gladys was born we were so poor and hungry that we had to walk the road for miles in order to pick coins from out of fountains in town to survive. I would never accept public assistance or welfare from the American oppressor. With no husband or support, it was just me and my baby we struggled. My baby Gladys would say, "Don't worry mama, Someday I'll turn myself into a bird and tuck you under my wing and we'll fly far, far away. The hardest decision I had to make was to leave her behind. There was work in New York and a promise for a new life. But all I found there was hate, misery and oppression. Our bosses in the factories were all racists and bigots who compared us with dogs and worked us till we dropped. I joined the Garment Workers Union, which I found so amazing to see women standing up for themselves. That was also when I, 29, joined my fellow patriots in the Puerto Rican Nationalist movement. I learned many things about this country. I learned that I could defend myself against oppression and tyranny. My life became for a moment bearable. Soon after I met Anderson, my one and only husband. I had a beautiful baby boy, Felix. We were happy for a time until Anderson became jealous of all my time at Union and Nationalist events. He became suspicious of me with other men and I was again alone, abandoned with a small child. There was no way I could work the long hours in the factory and take care of him alone with no help and no family, alone in New York. I had to return to my country and beg my mother and relatives to care for my only son. He was quiet on the airplane and bothered no one. He didn't cry at all. My only daughter was 8 now, and when I saw her at the airport she took my breath away. So tall and so beautiful. I wanted more for my children, a better life free from oppression, free for them to choose their own destiny. That is when I decided to fight for them and for my country. Mr. Lynn. No further questions, Your Honor. Judge Halsoff. Mr. Lombard, would you like to cross-examine? Mr. Lombard. 35. You ever, Rican. Lolita. Ms. Lebron, are you or have been a member of the Puerto Nationalist Party? Yes. The courtroom is abuzz. The court. Ext. Washington Federal with voices. Disorder in District Court Steps Day. 60. The crowd is gathered with various signs and is protesting angrily. Ricans go home, die wet back, spics die and death to the traitors are a few of the signs. Mr. Lombard and Mr. Lynn managed through the crowd to enter the courtroom. Int. Washington Federal District Courtroom Day 61. The judge and reads his sentence handed by the bailiff. Judge Halsoff, in the case of the people of the United States versus Ms. Dolores Lebron on the charge of attempted murder, the verdict is guilty on all counts, and on the charge of conspiracy to overthrow the U.S. government the verdict is also guilty. Applause is heard in the courtroom as Judge Halsoff, 36, is interrupted. He slams the gavel for order but goes unheard. Crowd is buzzing and slowly dissipates. Judge Halsoff, due to the nature of this case it is important that sentencing be swift and immediate. Ms. Lebron, please stand. You are hereby sentenced to death, which is the maximum allowable in this case. You will be moved to a federal facility where you will await your execution. Judge Halsoff slams the gavel and gets up to exit. Bailiff. All rise. Lolita's face is fixed. Ext. Department store front establishing shot Puerto Rico Day 62. Int. Department store Puerto Rico Day 63. Lolita's mother is buying clothes with young Gladys and Felix. She hears 2 women talking. Lady 1. Lady 2. Hey terrible. Hey see. Lady 1. Aquen. Lady 2. Tiene que estar loca. Se la occur? How can anyone be so stupid? This is only going to make it harder for us here and over there, especially over there. Oh my God. My son over there, like he doesn't have it hard enough? God damn that stupid Lolita Lebron. Hey que bruta esa estúpida. Lolita's mother and kids file out of the store. Int. Alderson Prison. Night. Lolita, vo, recites the Lord's Prayer. Standing in her prison cell it begins to morph as she prays. She violently weeps. Visions flash before her of Armageddon, fire and Jesus being trampled by the white horse of the apocalypse. Bloodied and battered as if crucified yet again, he points to an atomic mushroom cloud behind her. Tears in his eyes, he hugs her. The fire of religiosity enwraps her. The vision disappears as fast as it came, leaving her standing hugging herself, rocking back and forth in ecstasy. Int. Warden's Office, Alderson Prison Day 65. Warden. Ms. Lebron, I have some very good news. Your sentence has been changed. President Truman himself has commuted your sentence to life in prison instead of death. It seems the U.S. government wants you around. 38. 64. For something. Lolita shows no reaction. She sits numb. Int. Alderson Prison Night. Lolita writes poetry on toilet paper and a personal letter to President Truman relaying God's message of atomic danger. Lolita, vo, Dear President Dwight D. Eisenhower, please do whatever it is in your power to stop nuclear weapons. God wants me to work to make this a reality. The camera pans on her back, writing from left to right as her hair grays to show the passing of time and an older Lolita. She proudly holds up a finished manuscript on toilet paper. Int. Warden's Office, Alderson Prison, Day 67. Warden Ms. Lebron, why did you have to send that letter to the president? Are you crazy? Your people tried to kill Truman. You need to go away and think about that for a while. To the guards, get her out of here. Lolita is being dragged by straitjacket to a maximum security mental hospital. Int. Washington Asylum, Day 68. Lolita sits near a window. Rain falls as she sits still in a straitjacket. 3966 Ext. Puerto Rico, Riverbank, Day 69. Felix, her 9-year-old son playing along a riverbank, falls into the river. Chasing a yo-yo, he slips on a rock, hits his head and drowns. Children gather, cry and scream out. His body lifeless floats in the river. Ext. Alderson Prison Night. A scream echoes through the prison yard. Int. Alderson Prison Night. 70. 71 Lolita prays. A letter with the news of her son. Felix flops in her hands. She weeps on her knees. Lolita. Good Lord, please let it be your will, let it be your will. Take my will from me and replace it with yours. Show me the way, show me how to love. Punish me if I have offended you, but please not my boy. If you want him with you, if you want him, please take him, if that is your will, but please show me what to do from here. Please Lord, what shall I do? Int. Alderson Prison Day. Her eldest daughter Gladys comes to visit Lolita. Lolita. God bless you. 40. Mi hija. My girl, oh my. How you have grown. God. 72. As she hugs her, Lolita notices a bruise on Gladys's face. Gladys tries to hide it. Gladys's. Mommy, how are you? Mommy. I'm so sorry about Felix. Gladys begins to weep. Lolita. ¿Qué? No llores. Don't cry. Dios sabe lo que hace. God knows what is right. Felix was an angel. God lent us for a little while. Let us be grateful to him. She chokes back tears, smiles and takes a breath and holds Gladys's face in her hands, exposing her bruise. Gladys. Ma no es na. I fell and hit my face. Lolita searches for the truth in her eyes, does not find it and decides to change the topic. Lolita. Puerto Rico? Gladys. And how are things in Nuestra Tierra Madre? Fine, I just. Lolita. Everyone is fine. Wish you were home. Everything will be fine. God has told me that freedom is in here. She clutches her heart. Jesus. 41. And Mary are with me here. Every second. I'll survive. We do what we can. God does the rest. Int. Airplane. Day 73. Gladys makes her way down the aisle, finds her seat, and begins to weep. Ext. Puerto Rico. Highway in car. 1977. Day 74. Gladys, her 8-year-old daughter Irene and husband are in a car on their way home from a wedding. Gladys hangs her head out the window. Her tattered face is reflected in the mirror. Montage. Gladys flashes back to the wedding and her husband flirting out in the open with another woman in the parking lot and at the reception. Gladys notices him gone, then catches him behind the house with a bridesmaid. His pants undone, the woman in his arms. He turns to Gladys and smiles brightly at her. Gladys runs away devastated. He is amused, dismissive, cold and indifferent as he buttons up his pants, kisses the girl and laughs. End of flashback. Gladys's face is fresh as if waking up. She takes a deep breath, opens the car door and throws herself from the speeding car with her small daughter Irene watching from the backseat. Husband. Está. Hey Dios mío. Está mujer. Loca. He swerves and stops. Irene runs out the car to her mother lifeless on the ground. Int. Alderson Prison. Day 42. 75. Ext. San Jan Airport. Day 76. Lolita, accompanied by federal agents, arrives in Puerto Rico to attend her daughter Gladys's funeral. A crowd receives her and give her a hero's welcome at the airport. When the airplane lands, the bells of the church in San Juan begin to ring out to everyone's amazement because it was not time for them to ring. People stop to look at their watches puzzled. Photographer. Why are the bells ringing? It's not noon. Reporter. That's strange. Ext. Puerto Rico, Cemetery Day 77. The mob from the airport soon spills into a mob at a guard and 2 federal agents escort Lolita in chains onto a bus. The cemetery. Spectator 3K. Viva Puerto Rico Libre. They envelop Lolita all the way down to Gladys's grave. For a moment there is silence. Lolita lays down a wreath. Int. Alderson Prison Warden's Office 1979 Day 4378. The warden signs an order on his desk and closes a folder. Warden. Terms of. Lolita. Do you understand all this release? I do. Warden. We all know that President Carter is only trying to warm up to Castro by doing this, but hey, whatever is best for the country, right? Right? Lolita looks past the warden and does not answer. Warden. All your other buddies are getting the same deal. Presidential pardon? I don't know much about international politics, but I know enough to know that political prisoners don't exist in America. Guard? A woman enters. Lolita and the warden both stand. The warden hands her the folder. Lolita turns and leaves without saying a word. Int. Puerto Rico, a small home day. Lolita is welcomed by her friends and family. She sits and is surrounded by children. 79. 44. Lolita, thank you all. She smiles. I am home. Ext. Havana, Cuba capital day 80. La Bahia Mesa. Lolita walks into the capital with several young advisors. Fidel Castro greets Lolita. They celebrate a dinner in her honor. They sit at a very bountiful state dinner table. She addresses Fidel. Lolita. True you organized Castro. Señor Comandante, is it do not recognize religion? It is the very tool of the capitalists used to impose control and impoverish the masses. Opium. Lolita. God? You hear, but you must believe and surely God has brought this far. The conversation goes silent as Fidel smiles at her. She looks around the table and smiles back at him, realizing she's outnumbered. The dinner somewhat ruined. Ext. Puerto Rico, a beach in Vieques day 81. A man is seen walking on a peaceful beach. The sound of a jet engine is heard, then he is blown up by a bomb from one of the planes. Sand and guts. 45. Everywhere, the U.S. military plane files overhead and away. Ext. Puerto Rico, a beach in Vieques day 82. Lolita leads a loud protest on the beach. Many locals and celebrities like Al Sharpton and Hillary Clinton are seen forming a human chain. U.S. Marshals and police round up the protesters. Int. Puerto Rico. Lolita and protesters. Vasta con las bombas. A jail in Vieques day. Booking officer name? Lolita. Dolores Lebron. The officer looks up from the page and sees a woman in her 80s, all white hair and fire. Int. Puerto Rico courtroom in Vieques day 84. A very hot and bothered judge presides. Judge. Ms. Lebrón, do you understand the charges that have been filed against you by this court? Lolita. That 46. Yes, I do, and may I add, 83. I had the honor of leading the act against the U.S. Congress on March 1, 1954, when we demanded freedom for Puerto Rico and we told the world that we are an invaded nation, occupied and abused by the United States of America. I feel very proud of having performed my duty, answering the call of the motherland. The courtroom explodes with applause and cheers. The judge is mortified. He calls for order. He pounds his gavel. Judge. I hereby sentence you to 60 days. He pounds his gavel. Lolita. I did 25 years. I can do 60 days. The audience explodes with laughter and cheers. Ext. Puerto Rico jail in Vieques 8, 24, 2001 day 85. Lolita prepares to leave the jail. VO. Lolita, and I country, just. I am a proud Puerto Rican. Have fought for my right to country 47. As the Americans fought theirs. No one has the take from me and my own. My voice, humanity and the freedom and expense of. Today I say tool, with, will be mercy favor, strength, what is mine and that is my dignity and my name of your idea of personal gain at the defenseless. But violence can never be our you can solve nothing violence. My country, free. And today I choose in favor. Remaining in with my Creator is my. We must do what we can but my Creator will ultimately handle my battles for me and punish the wicked better than I ever could. I will always ring the alarm and bring the fight for social justice. Liberation is my goal, free from conflict and war but a newfound pride in humanity, progress and peace. Edward James Olmos enters the jail with a small group of young advisors. James and Lolita walk hand in hand exiting the small local jail. He kisses her hands and walks away. Her face glows and her white hair whips in the wind. She is on the Malecón. She faces the sea. Cut to black. Pre-credits. In 2005, the 100-year military presence is legislated to leave the island of Vieques, Puerto Rico.